here. And I'll do that by saying right now, formally, that I am announcing my candidacy to become the Democratic nominee for the District Attorney position of Shelby County. Now that's the case if you're a street criminal, but it's particularly the case if you are a violent criminal. But unfortunately, every year in Shelby County, since our incumbent DA has taken office, violent crime in Shelby County has risen and risen and risen. And it's gotten to the point where, as of today, there was an online article that was published showing how, according to FBI crime statistics, the most dangerous city to live in the United States is Memphis, Tennessee. The Memphis metropolitan area is the most dangerous measured by violent crime. What I conclude from that is the policies we've been pursuing for the past 11 years are not working. They are not making us safer. We need change. Among the things we need to do is to focus less on nonviolent crimes and less serious crimes, and focus like a laser on violent crimes. We have to stop the bleeding. And if we do that, we can make Shelby County safer. Now, I said a moment ago that if you break the law, you need to be held accountable. That is just as true for law enforcement. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you've got a prosecutor who withholds evidence and breaks other rules and gets convictions overturned time and time again, then she needs to be held accountable too, not just by the courts, but by the voters of this county. We live in the county that is the highest for convictions overturned because of prosecutorial misconduct. We live in a county where the incumbent district attorney has been personally called out for such misconduct by the Tennessee Supreme Court, by the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and by the ethics panel of the Tennessee Bar. All three of those are extremely rare occurrences, but they happen here in Shelby County. That's not making Shelby County safer. Now, I also believe that children, absent exceptional circumstances, children should not be tried as adults and sent off to state prisons for years or decades where nothing happens except they learn how to become hardened criminals. That should not be our policy, but unfortunately, that's the general rule here in Shelby County. If a child is technically under the law eligible for what they call adult transfer, then almost always it happens. We not only lead the state in that, it's worse than that. Adult transfer in Shelby County alone is more than all other counties in Tennessee combined. And over 90% of those kids are black. Most of you probably already know that a few years ago, the Department of Justice did a systematic study of the juvenile court system in our county and concluded that there were significant racial disproportionalities at every stage of the criminal justice process, including the stages that are controlled by the DA, like charging and sentencing. And yet, the people who run all of this decided a few years, not too long ago, that they were going to get the Trump Justice Department to end federal monitoring. That's not making Shelby County safer either. That's not about safety. Now, I also know that's not fair. It's not making our county safer. And yet, that is the problem here in Shelby County. We have a bail inflation problem in Shelby County. And even when those people are eventually released because the charges have been dropped or they've been acquitted, it's too late. Right? Their lives have been disrupted. They've lost their jobs, their careers, their education, their families have, been disrupted. And that makes them less able to go out back into the society and earn a living, and more vulnerable to the temptation to engage in crime. That is making us less safe, not safer. Now, you're going to hear from the other side during this campaign that the kinds of reforms I'm talking about just won't work. Crime is too high in Memphis, and these things will make Memphis and Shelby County less safe. I say that if you get convictions overturned because your prosecutors are breaking the rules, That's what's making us less safe. If you fight and put the wrong people, convict the wrong people, and then when we try to point that out, you fight it endlessly, like in the Purvis Payne case, or the endless opposition to DNA testing, which is one way we could conclusively find out if we did get the right guy. That's making us less safe. It's not only unjust, but it's making us affirmatively less safe, because that means that the real criminal is still out on the streets. You give the person an incentive to change their lives, right? To behave while they're behind bars, to learn a trade, to do something to rehabilitate so that they can shorten their sentence. You take that hope away from them, then what are we doing? We're warehousing people for no reason. So I don't think that's no. Here's my truth in sentencing. Because we waste so many millions of dollars on unnecessary incarceration, both pre-trial, that's bail reform, and after conviction, when we do a 20-year sentence, when an 8-year sentence would do, or a 12-year sentence would do. We waste so much money on that. I mean, even the Koch brothers, right, are on board now with we're wasting too much money on mass incarceration and mandatory minimums, right? And they're no, liberals by any means. So my truth in sentencing proposal is, when we make a sentencing recommendation to the judge, in that document, we will put a fiscal note. We will put an estimate of how much it will cost the taxpayers to have them in jail or prison for this many years as opposed to that. That's my truth in sentencing. Passion on nonviolent crime, on teenagers, and on people who haven't even been convicted of a crime. That's what I offer to Shelby County as candidate for district attorney. Now, I will say that this, if you were to try to summarize it even further, I'd say 4 simple words. Shelby justice needs change. Shelby justice needs change. And if you agree that Shelby justice needs change, here's one thing I can guarantee you. You can bet your bottom dollar you're not going to get that kind of change from the current incumbent district attorney, who has been presiding over and pursuing and pushing precisely these kinds of wrong-headed mass incarceration, racially disproportionate, lock them up, throw away the key policies that have not worked for the last 11 years. But the district attorney's office is uniquely powerful. The discretion is so broad that it can by itself be this engine for change if the right person is at the helm. I offer that kind of change. I want that kind of change. And I think with your help, we can get there. I want your support. I'm asking today for your support, for your prayers, your donations, your volunteer time, your word of mouth, all of that. Because with your help, we can make Shelby County fairer and safer.
Yeah.
Thank you.